to keep believing in the process?
No, that's all you got. You know what I mean? That's the only thing you can rely on, and you know, and find ways to tweak that and try to get better at it.
Have you been in places where they stop believing in the process?
Yeah, I have. Won't name the team, but yeah, you would be able to tell really fast based on the product that's being put out there, and you know, and you'll just see guys do uncharacteristic things, which I don't think I've seen any of those signs or remotely close to those signs now. So, but yeah, I definitely know what it looks like.
Okay, that was Arizona Cardinals quarterback Jacoby Brissett on believing in the process. Keep trusting the process, Jacoby. Worked out well for the Sixers. He comes in at quarterback 4 for you, Matthew, which is kind of stunning, really. He's in between Drake May, who's second favorite for MVP, and Joe Burrow, who's one of the 4 best quarterbacks in football. But pretty favorable matchup against the Falcons.
Unbelievable matchup against the Falcons. 4 of the past 5 quarterbacks to face Atlanta have scored at least 19 fantasy points. And you think about Jacoby Brissett, right? 6 straight games with 40 or more pass attempts. The Cardinals lead the NFL in pass rate under Brissett, right? And so all 9 of his starts, he's had at least 18 fantasy points. Since taking over as a starter, he's the 4th best quarterback in fantasy. He's QB4 for me this week against your Falcons. Yeah, Jacoby Brissett,
he
unbelievable.
Yeah, he throw the ball enough to do it.
It's so absurd. He is the great innings eater of our times in terms of what he's been able to do since week 6. He is QB4. Only Josh Allen, Jackson Dart, and the immortal Trevor Lawrence are in front of him. He's ahead of the 2 guys who are favourites for MVP, Drake May and Matthew Stafford.
Yep.
And just
this
ahead
is all
of
since week 6.
Yep. And also ahead of Joe Flacco, his spiritual predecessor.
Don't just look over Joe Flacco
since
now.
week 6, the fantasy leaders: Josh Allen, Jackson Dart, Trevor Lawrence, Jacoby Brissett.
Yep.
Drake May at 5, Matthew Stafford at 6. I mean, you talk
Joe
about like
Flacco
not
at
even
7.
close.
Yeah, pretty absurd.
What we thought at the beginning of the year.
Well, a guy who's not in that top 10 since week 6, Jalen Hurts. A bit of a disappointing stretch. He's had moments, Jalen Hurts, this season, but before that game against the Raiders where he got right, he was going through it. But I think that he will continue this bounce back with a matchup that is about as good as it gets against the Commanders. The Commanders allowed 6 most points in fantasy, 2 quarterbacks this season. And again, just wouldn't expect your secondary to have much respite, Matthew, against Jalen Hurts.
No, I don't think we will. I mean, we're playing a little bit better, but that's such a low bar.
Yeah.
Yes, Hurts is back. He'll be fine.
Yep. All right. Another guy who should be fine is Jared Goff, who quietly is having another really good season in Detroit, putting up numbers. It's the defense that's the problem at the moment. But that defense is putting him in scripts where he needs to throw, and this total against Pittsburgh is 52.5.
Since week 9, Jared Goff, to your point about playing better recently, since week 9, Jared Goff is the 8th best quarterback in fantasy football on a points per game basis. He's averaging over 290 passing yards a game. And then you mentioned the over-under, right? 52. Well, the implied team total for the Lions, 29.5. Right? So you're looking at like 4 touchdowns, basically. Maybe a field goal if they get there close. All right, so by the way, during this entire stretch since week 9, Matthew Stafford is the only guy, as you see it there on your screen, Matthew Stafford, the only quarterback with more touchdown passes since Jared Goff. Again, the game's in Detroit, indoors against the Steelers, 52.5 over-under. I think you want as much a part of this game as you can get. Jared Goff is my QB7 for the week.
Okay, love it. Lawrence, Justin Herbert on the love list here. Even though the broken hand has given him some issues, he's still been able to run the ball, and this is a pretty favorable matchup against the Dallas team that can't stop anyone.
Definitely. It's been tough for him recently. Quarterback 27 last week against the Chiefs. They still got the wins. Been no better than quarterback 17 since week 9. However, young man, you playing these Dallas Cowboys this week, and they've allowed the most fantasy points per game to these quarterbacks, right? Dallas has allowed 3 touchdowns to quarterbacks in 3 of their last 4 games. The one that didn't was Jared Goff, and that's because Jahmyr Gibbs had an explosive day. Look no further than J.J. McCarthy last week. Had his best game of his young career against these Dallas Cowboys. He was quarterback 7 against the Cowboys. And you mentioned the rushing for Justin Herbert. He's having a career year running the ball. 3 out of his last 5 games, he's ran for at least 55 yards. So when you add that to what you could do in the passing game versus Dallas Cowboys defense, I see him having a big game here.
Yep. I think the key thing is just the rushing elevates the floor a little bit. And he's like stiff-arming dudes with his left hand.
Oh, for sure.
He just doesn't care. All right, others receiving votes, headlined by CJ Stroud, who's had a strange year but has shown flashes lately, Matthew, and now gets a very favorable matchup against the Raiders.
Since week 11, Las Vegas has allowed the highest passer rating to opposing quarterbacks in the NFL. They're also giving up touchdown passes at the second highest rate in the league during that stretch. Also, that dynasty league that I'm talking about, I'm playing against Stroud, so you know he's going off. How about Tyler Shuck against the Jets, right? 17 fantasy points in 4 of the past 5 starts. He's been a top 12 quarterback in that stretch. He's averaging over 31 rushing yards a game in his last 4. And finally, Bryce Young, the Bryceler. Like, it's all about Tampa Bay. The last 6 quarterbacks to face Tampa Bay, right? The last 6 have all scored at least 18 fantasy points. Since week 8, Tampa Bay is the worst pass defense in the NFL.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.